All right, good afternoon, everybody. You will not see me yet. We just have audio going right now. We're going to wait about a minute here before we flip on over to Mr. Kevin Guthrie, the Executive Director from Florida Division of Emergency Management, reached out to us here at Mike's Twitter page. We're good friends, good partners, and we're going to talk about the incoming storm. So give us a few seconds here. I know I see our chat room popping up. Thanks for joining on this special Saturday afternoon live as we watch a cold, drizzly rain invading our state right now, and everybody's probably scratching their heads wondering, are we really going to see any severe storms or not? So that's the big question. But I did see just radar a second ago coming off of Miami, and there was clear vorticity signature coming up towards that area there, southeast Florida. So I think it's starting to happen. I got the current satellite up here right now. But this is recorded, so if you missed it, you can go back and watch it. I'm going to flip on over here to our screen, and it looks like we're live. There we go. All right. So there to my side is Mr. Kevin Guthrie. Thank you for joining us. He is the Executive Director of Florida Division of Emergency Management. You might have seen him all over the TVs during Hurricane Ian and Idalia. So thank you for reaching out, sir. And I know you wanted to bring some information to the state of Florida and talk about this incoming storm.
Yeah, Mike, I appreciate you for having us on. I'm going to pull up my notes here because I was looking at that radar flip on out there off of Miami near Homestead myself when you were mentioning it. One of the things that I just wanted to kind of talk to you and feel free to kind of facilitate if you want to, Mike. But I think people. It's been a long time since Florida has had a really strong to moderate El Nino. We've had a couple minor ones. We had one back in 15, 16. As a minor El Nino, even though it had a pretty significant squall line that happened around January 16th of 2016. But today is like one of those weather days that you just get frustrated with, I guess, more than anything else. You get 12 to 18 inches of rain, misting rain, light rain, sometimes some heavy rain, and people are like saying that, well, is this it?
Yeah.
And right now, guys like myself and you, and more like you and my four meteorologists here, they're like, no, sir, it's coming. And to your point, that we're starting to see now something with potentially some rotation in it down around Miami. So I wanted to make sure that viewers knew. You mentioned I was watching you when I was having a cup of coffee this morning with your morning brew and my morning brew, and really saw that. A lot of people had questions, and a lot of people, really don't understand things. One of the things that I think I want to take away and share with viewers today, especially those that are in Florida, the Southeast United States doesn't have these tornadoes like the Midwest.
Right.
They're just different. Even the tornadoes that happened this last week in Nashville, Tennessee, I think it was EF3 tornado up there. And then the ones in Kentucky last year, big tornadoes. We don't have a whole lot of those here. We do get the occasional EF3, without a doubt. We go back to 1998 when we had the semi-outbreak of tornadoes, killing about 15, 16 or somewhere in there. But our tornadoes here in Florida are just so fast moving. They're small, typically compact. They can get up to the EF3 strength, but they move so fast. And, what I'm really concerned about tonight, and I wanted to come on and share with people is, you said it this morning, but I'm going to put the exclamation point on it on the show right now, is when you go to sleep tonight, when you start to head to bed, especially the further north into Florida you get, State Road 70 and higher, I-4 and higher, you need to make sure that you've got some way of receiving alerts or a weather radio that you've got next to your bed. We do expect tornado watches tonight. We do expect potentially tornado warnings. I hope it's like last weekend, and we actually had no tornado warnings hardly at all. They're really, really isolated in rural areas with a little bit of population, or just little population.
Right.
I hope that's the case tonight, but again, it's not that we're fear mongering, it's that we're informing.
Right.
and there is the potential there for tornadic activity tonight. We want people to be safe. We want you to make sure that you got that phone by your bed, that weather radio by your bed, because I don't want this to be a situation like we had back in 2013 in Palm Coast, Florida, where we have this later evening tornado. A lot of people just didn't know about it. We had nobody killed in that situation, just a couple of people injured. But we want people to know, if that phone goes off, if that weather radio goes off in Florida with as fast as our tornadoes move here, we're going to want you to move immediately to an interior location of your home, probably a bathroom in a typical Florida home. If you got a sleeping bag, a light mattress, something like that you can put over your head, protect your body, and hunker down. Usually those tornado warnings last about 30, 45 minutes, give or take. But make sure, if you hear that thing go off, you need to move immediately to safety and hunker down, and then wait for the all clear to come out. So that was a big thing that I wanted to share with you guys tonight or this afternoon, is that we hope and pray that there is no issues with this storm as it comes through, but it's only going to get worse. We've had light rain, we've had moderate rain across the Panhandle, or I'm sorry, not the Panhandle, but the peninsula. And, it's only going to get heavier going into the evening. And then the winds are going to increase. Potential for tornadic activity is going to increase. And again, you never want a tornado, but a tornado at night is a very, very scary. So please make sure you have the ability to get those tornado warnings when you go to bed tonight.
Yeah. So I'm reading the comments, Kevin, and a lot of people are like, where is he talking about? And I can't stress it enough. I think the number one question people ask me, especially during hurricane season, is specific locations. And I think you probably agree that we don't know tornadoes, where they're going to form, where they're going to come in. We have a wraparound system that, the East Coast can see it coming off that Gulf Stream. We can have them come off the Gulf of Mexico. We can have them develop over land. So that Storm Prediction Center, right? I mean, we got the whole peninsula basically in yellow, which pretty much tells you, if you live in the yellow, be prepared.
Yeah, so I'm not the meteorologist here, but I think if I'm correct in my assumption here, this is truly a wild card. A lot of the tornadoes that happen on our frontal boundaries almost always move from south-southwest to north-northeast. They always move in the northeast or north-northeast direction, right?
Right.
In this case, I think as we see the one that's coming up that was out there off of Miami, it was almost looking like it was moving northwest.
I saw that.
So there is no actual prediction, very good prediction about these things. I think what people need to pay attention to more than anything else is the Storm Weather Prediction Center's estimate where this could happen. Right now, it's just about the entire Florida peninsula that is in the slight risk area. I want to remind you, you and I were talking offline about this. Tennessee's EF3 tornado last week was in a slight risk area. It wasn't in an enhanced risk area. It was in a slight risk area. So we want to make sure that people can do that or are ready to do this. And I would say, if you live in the peninsula, you may have and you may see a tornado watch and or tornado warning tonight. You need to be prepared. All Floridians, all 22 million of us, need to be prepared to be able to do something tonight if it should come to that. We really haven't talked a lot about it. I know that the Weather Channel was talking about this a little bit earlier today when I was on with them. This frontal boundary that's coming over from Texas, right, and whatnot, that's going to eventually meet up with this one. So, don't have nearly the risk associated in the Panhandle, but the Panhandle is going to have some weather moving through here very shortly. So the real tornado risk, though, is in the Panhandle. It could happen anywhere, right, in that Panhandle area that's in that slight and even the darker green area. Anywhere in that area, it can happen. So people need to be ready, right, for it. I'm really concerned, and I'll shut up right after this, Mike, but I'm really concerned about, especially we have rural viewers that are joining us in that Hurricane Idalia impacted area. I know that things are really soft there. And what I mean by soft is there's a lot of critical infrastructure that's been damaged as a part of Hurricane Idalia. So, myself and several law enforcement agencies, we actually contacted sheriffs today in that general area, made sure they had everything ready to go. If they needed help, we reached out to them. So, that's kind of an Achilles heel, if you will. I know that they're more in the green than they are in the yellow, but we just want to make sure that everybody's really paying attention very closely to this thing.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. So I read all the discussions. I live on X and Facebook, and there's a lot of complex upper level wins happening with this system that I think really, like you said, it's a wild card, and no one really knows. And number one comment I see, it's been a bust so far. What a lame day. Well, it's never been about today. It's been about tonight. And that kind of worries me a little bit too, because people are probably thinking, this was nothing, And like you said, we're used to frontal system tornadoes on the front of a frontal line or something. This is completely different. And people forget El Nino. I bring it up all the time, but El Nino winters, it pinpoints Florida. And we've already seen it. We had that no-name storm down in Lauderdale, Miami a couple weeks ago. We had another tornado outbreak, about 3-4 weeks ago with Crystal River and here. So it can happen. And if it's a bust, I feel guilty like everybody else, but we have to report there's a chance. And, nobody wishes these things, but, you just have to know that there's a chance. And historically, this is the time in a super strong El Nino we would get this.
Yeah, I agree. You and I share a common thread, and that's, we want to keep Floridians and more so your program that goes nationwide. We want to keep people safe. At the end of the day, we are in the public safety business. We're not trying to hype things up. We are really just trying to keep people safe and informed. I can't make people, just like in a hurricane, I can't make people go to shelters. I can't make them evacuate. I can inform them and let them make their informed decision. I will tell you, we're informing you today as a public safety official for the state of Florida. I'm telling you, we've got severe weather on the way, unpredictable weather on the way, and we need to be, we're prepared, we're ready. We have hundreds of staff members across the state of Florida ready to respond at a moment's notice. We just need you, the homeowner, to be ready to do what it is to keep you and your family safe if that should happen overnight. And it's more about information sharing and letting you know what's going on. And I appreciate your partnership, Mike, with us. But, one last thing before I turn it over to you and exit is El Nino. We've talked about it coming into the show. You just brought it up in the last one. A lot of people don't know, maybe are new to Florida, new to the Southeast, and they're not really sure what an El Nino does here. And again, I think, it's very, very important for people to know that historically November to April is our dry season. In an El Nino year, that will be our wet season. We will have a lot of rain, potentially a lot of flooding, severe weather, tornadic activity. Those things will happen at a higher rate during this time from November to April. So, you can look back at history again, and I think sometimes the best predictor of future performance is past performance. And, just a couple of things, if you can feel free to go out and research them. 1998, February 22, February 23 of 1998, EF3 tornadoes throughout the Central Florida area. 2009 El Nino, we had 12 inches of rainfall in north central Florida in the Panhandle, which led to what we call Operation Noah's Ark. That was a thing that we did there. The Withlacoochee River set a record of 88.51 feet on April 6th. So major flooding. We had 63.8 feet along the Suwannee River, which closed Highway 84, US 90, in 2009 there. And then in 2015 and 16, we had that one that came off of the Gulf of Mexico from Texas. It caused some tornadoes there for us on January 16, 2016. So again, just really want to tell people these were all El Nino years that I just mentioned, 98, 97, 98, 2009, 2015, 2016. So we want people, again, be informed, make decisions, think safe, be safe, have a plan ready to go if you should get that tornado watch or warning tonight, and keep that phone, keep that weather radio on and right close to your bed.
Right. That's great advice. I mean, that's, number one thing you hear about with these nighttime tornadoes is sometimes they issue these watches a little too late too. I've always been vocal about that, so like you said, I always recommend a radar app. I mean, sometimes your best friend's your radar because you can kind of see a strong line of storms that's inching in towards you. And of course, local Mets. The good advice I've heard is at a time like this is definitely trust your local Mets. I mean, they're on 24/7, right? And they do an amazing job too. So, sort of what I do is leading up to the system. Now it's kind of like your local National Weather Service and local Mets, and they'll keep you up to date with what's happening. And I got to praise the state. What you did with Ian and Idalia. We've seen fast recovery efforts. And that's good to know. I mean, I see the proactive, measures you all take with Tiger Dam on the other coast, even for this system, trying to prevent the sand loss down Hollywood area and Lauderdale. And so, it's ironic we're talking about hurricane style prep in December, right? But here we are again. It's just not an ice storm this time.
We couldn't do that without the governor's support, and the governor, lieutenant governor. I've talked to both of them over the last 2 days, and they. What I love about them is it's like, this is why we hired you. Go out and do what you do. Keep us informed. If you need our support, we're here to help. They're informed of what's going on, and we're the division and our state emergency response team agencies are all prepared and ready to go. I've talked to a lot of our key partners, DOT, Department of Agriculture, Consumer Services, Forest Director, who does the SAW teams. I've talked to FHP, FWC. Again, everybody's ready to go. If we need something happens overnight, the state's going to have a very swift response to support the local governments should they need us.
Well, you brought up a good point watching you on the Weather Channel too, and I've been seeing this increase in power outages. Right, that was something that maybe wasn't expected, but we have tropical storm force wind gusts and persistent rains here. So do you guys expect this power outages to creep up through the night possibly?
I've talked to FPL, I've talked to Duke, I've talked to both the Florida Municipal Electric Association and the Florida Cooperative Electric Association. And yes, they do anticipate power outages. I talked to Melissa with Duke last night, and she says, we're calling in extra crews. We're going to have enough staff. I think one thing that she said, as well as John Holly at FPL and the others I talked to, said, Kevin, this is not a hurricane where we know we're going to have miles of line that are just destroyed in the eye wall of the hurricane. This is going to be sporadic here or there. It's going to take us, we can't concentrate this big mass 30,000 effort in one concentrated area where the eye wall is going to come on. This is going to be almost like Swiss cheese, and they got to go plug the hole here, then plug the hole there, and move around. So that's going to, I think people, Florida citizens, Florida residents have come to know us to be very fast to get all of the power, or the majority of the power, 85% of the power back on in 48 hours. I think to set people's expectations, using the Swiss cheese approach, there might be some people that get their power back on really, really quick. There's going to be some people that may not get it back on as fast because we're just got to maneuver to it. We don't have all of these tens of thousands of resources staged. So, but I will tell you this again: talk to the CEOs of the company, talk to the executive directors of the associations. They are ready. They are primed. They're ready to move in just as fast as they can, and as soon as it's safe to do so, they will get in there and get that power restored. Right. We'll help them get the roads open. We're going to help them get everything that we can do on our side, clear the path so that they can get there.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I just, we've done all we can, and obviously you have too. I mean, that, I think spreading the chances and the information ahead of time. Now it's up to the individuals, just to kind of be aware, and this, might be happening. Hopefully it's a bust, and we get called a lot of names, and life goes on. But hopefully, if there is severe outbreaks tonight, somebody might be prepared. It wasn't. So appreciate you so much, Kevin, for coming on. And we got some exciting stuff coming up in Daytona again. We'll talk about that later, right?
We got that coming right around the corner. What's that? That's February, I think.
NASCAR, baby, right? Yep. So, all right, we'll get through this. Thank you so much for reaching out and your team. I'm sure our weather fans here, I've been reading a million thank yous, so they really appreciate it too.
All right, Mike, I appreciate the partnership, buddy. Take care.
All right, have a good Christmas.
You too.
All right. Well, there you go. How about that? So hopefully y'all got some good information there. It always means a lot to me that the state reaches out to us here wants to spread information. You know, it's all about that. You know, Kevin and the crew reached out during Ian and Idalia and other storms, Nicole in the past. So, you know, definitely when they reach out, I say yes. And, you know, we're gonna do all we can to use Mike's Weather page for some good. And so that was some great information. So, you know, so again, you know, I'm going to put the satellite imagery on. You know, I get the same feeling that a lot of y'all are getting. Like, we've had this cold drizzle rain all day. It's not your typical setup. Oh, running out of time. Look at that. I had the free version of Zoom. That's how tight I am. I was scared to death we were going to go over 40 minutes. So you know, I'm sitting here like y'all. I'm watching it and I'm like, you know, it's just not your typical severe storm look to it. So that's what they're concerned about. Is there are a lot of maps. You know, the NAM is a great tool that looks at upper level winds, helicity, shear. All those are showing that we're already starting to see this. I mean, let me kind of draw you the thing that's happening. So here's your center basically, right here, and we're going to start to see rotation around the center through the night, and we're already starting to see signs that we can see some tornadoes coming in off of the south east coast, as Kevin mentioned, and we saw on radar. So that's not your typical tornado paths, but we're going to see a lot of activity possibly here. We're also going to see a lot of activity wherever that center sets up, because we're going to have a deepening low pressure area. So it's tricky, you know. I'm very curious if we're going to get this severe outbreak or not, but we have to trust the models, trust the professionals, and they are persistent on the fact that we could see something through the night. So that's kind of where we're at, you know. My advice, like I said a million times, have radar, you know, watch your local television stations. They're awesome, you know, follow them on social media. They update 24/7, you know, we'll see, you know, as the day goes on. So doing these specialized, I really don't have comments, so I apologize for that. But it was hopefully a quick update to help make some sense of what's going on. You know, they update this map several times a day. It's still the same. Don't pay attention to the 5%. That's just basically an area that could be expecting a possible tornado. The greater the probability legend means more tornadoes in a tighter area. So the random tornado could still happen. It's just not a frequent outbreak that you might see in a particularly section like you see in the Midwest. So, you know, like Kevin mentioned, Brown area, we probably are going to see a tornado watch pop up. So that just basically means there's ingredients in place for that. So there you have it. Just got to sit back, wait and see. And then tomorrow, you know, all this energy spreads up towards the East Coast, and they're going to be dealing with kind of the same situation with strong squall lines coming in off the Atlantic. Some huge winds are expected across the Carolinas tomorrow. 50, 60 mile an hour winds possible. So they're talking about a lot of beach erosion, and of course potential for storms rolling in off of that Gulf Stream. You know, the Gulf Stream's still 81, 2, 3 degrees, and that helps fuel these storms. I just posted a minute ago the estimated radar. You can go back and look at that, but you see the squall lines and their feeder bands setting in place. So there you go. Not much has changed. Here's current radar. You know, they're starting to get a little heavier. We got a severe warning down south. Again, you know, these cells were incoming around southeast Florida. We're going to be watching these. We're going to be watching incoming cells possibly coming in off the Gulf Coast, and you know, any of these areas as the night goes on. Once that pressure gradients get tighter and we get approaching deepening low, then you're going to have a chance for some of these quick spin ups, and that's what they're concerned about. These tornadoes in Florida, as any tornadoes are, they're quick. They pop up out of nowhere really quick, and they can produce, you know, damages. So even over there by the Cape and Shelley, they're getting hit, you know, with pretty heavy rain right now. So again, you know, overnight, you know, it's not even several hours away. So I'm with you. You know, we'll be watching it together. So, quick little update there. I just saw Shelley. I have this is how just so you know, this is how the chat rolls. Oh, I don't even have my video up anymore. Never mind. So you're just listening to audio. But anyway, Thanks, Shelly. I seen you popped in there. I'm reading it on my phone. All right, so there you go. Next update from the Storm Prediction Center is coming a few more hours, so we're not going to have anything fresh for a while. So just pay attention. We're going to be keeping an eye on if they issue that tornado watch or not, and it should be pretty cut and dry. You know, we got pretty much the whole state of Florida right now is under rain, and this low pressure is starting to intensify. And you can see this pretty clear here. If you look at some of these maps, we got a lot of lightning out here developing. This is a lightning indicator map, and this is kind of where our system is at the moment, and all this is building out here. You can see this on the water vapor loop. We're starting to get some big thunderstorms out there. This is that second piece of energy that's helping fuel it on the backside. This is kind of what they're, worried about and a little bit confused about is all these systems merging together, and we have an upper level low that's bringing storms across the Panhandle and Upper Gulf now that's actually going to combine and bring some energy into this whole system. So very complex. We'll see. There you go. But I'll be out chasing soon enough. So stay tuned for that. I'll be out in the Storm Chaser truck soon, and we'll be probably covering this thing all night long. So stay safe, y'all. Huge thanks again to the state of Florida and Mr. Kevin Guthrie, the Executive Director of Florida Division of Emergency Management, for coming on, giving his time, and hopefully giving you all a little bit of helpful information on what could happen tonight. Okay? We'll see you later. Bye-bye.